What's up, Zox fam? We have a lot of things that's going to be changing within Tribe 9, but not only things that are changing, also things that are coming into the game. Now, I want to jump into all of these things because it is super loaded, but again, I have to shout out the fam Marchin for actually tagging me in this and making me aware. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into it. All right, first things first, the introduction here, it says, hello, everyone. This is director Sojima. Okay, we have made some small updates recently, but we were unable to introduce them all in detail as we prioritize speed of response. And for that, we apologize. I'm gonna be honest, you don't gotta apologize for that because you literally were pushing out the things that players wanted in the game. So it is okay in my book, I would be honest. But this time, we would like to introduce the contents of the recent version 1.0.5 update, as well as the changes to be made in the upcoming versions 1.0.10 update and the upcoming events and characters. So this is huge. So regarding the update implemented in version 1.0.5, regarding the changes to the Fractal Vice and the Professor Zero Pin's missions. So it says that we have received a lot of feedback about post-story exploration contents, Fractal Wise or Vice. Among these, we are aware that many players are feeling very frustrated when trying to achieve each of these different goals of removing the level cap, selecting the best fates, and fighting strong enemies as in-game content. Now, with that, because they are all mixed together in one piece of content, for the time being, in the recent update, we've changed the condition for unlocking the level cap of 50 in Zero Pin Sensei's mission, defeat the limitless red series to win 15 battles with Fractal Vice or in Fractal Vice. This means that players who want to unlock level cap will be able to do so without having to defeat the red limit series. So for any of you guys that have not figured that out yet, that's exactly what the change was for. Now, the Fractal Vice or Wise in Red Limit series are content developed for players who have thoroughly trained their characters and are highly motivated to experience the unique battles that are unique to Tribe 9. Now, this is indicating that this is obviously for in-game players, right? Now, for that reason, we positioned it as something more like a challenge from the development team that will not have a major impact on the future progress of the game. However, because of the process of completing chapters 1 through 2 strongly required players to collect perfect stickers, many players perceived the content as something they had to acquire or clear, which is true. Yeah, that made it feel that way. Now, additionally, we did not take into consideration the natural desire to strengthen your characters to maximum level, which resulted in more players than expected experiencing being thwarted by powerful enemies. We sincerely apologize for that. So they basically made this as in-game choosable challenge content, not in-game you have to finish it content, which kind of, I guess, makes sense in a way that they wanted to have something for players to go and do for the time being. But yeah, forcing players, whenever you make a hard parameter like that, anything that is locking powering up, players are going to want to do it, right? Like, there's no reason for them not to want to do it because they want the next thing that's going to make them the strongest. And because there are so many different things that are being figured out in this game, anytime a player can get something that's going to help them for sure get a said result, like say getting level 50, they're going to want that, right? So I mean, at least, I mean, you know now, right? So I guess there's that. Now, going forward, Tribe 9 will remain focusing on providing players with high difficulty action battles while also enriching the game content so that it can cater to a variety of playstyles and motivations, which I think is good because not everybody wants to necessarily be highly stimulated or challenged all the time. They might want to just kind of relax and chill and do something really funky or fun. So mini games, that might be a way to go. Just saying, people love mini games. So in addition, we are currently preparing improvements to increase satisfaction in response to feedback about Fractal Vice, such as the journey to rematch the Red Limit series is too long and it takes too long to complete a round. Now, I will say I don't mind the time that I put into the Fractal Vice because there's technically different ways. Like there is a whole pathway that actually takes you to the boss in like 2 minutes. And then you also have the pathway that is obviously going to be longer because you're exploring, you're searching for chests. I don't mind that. But I will say the retry, that is something that I think overall, even though I know I can climb back up, I will say that would be a huge time saver. Not everybody has the time to, throw 20 to 30 minutes into trying to, have to go back in for a single clear. I would say even if you wanted to keep it challenge oriented, but you gave a few attempts per attempt. So like say within that one attempt, you get 3 tries. I think that would actually be better than, you know, just you die and now you got to reclimb the whole tower. And what I mean by 3 tries is that you get to rematch the entire thing. So you start from the beginning again with the boss restored on health, but it at least gives you a couple of tries to at least try the gimmick and the mechanic. And then they can have you at that point then reclimb if you have to, if you lose all 3 versus just the 1. But even if they change it to where you just get to rematch infinitely, I wouldn't mind that either, if I'm being honest. Like if I'm really being honest. So either way, it would work in my opinion. Now moving on, it goes to say that since these fundamental improvements are planned to be somewhat large-scale changes, we would like to make them a part of the upcoming major update for Chapter 3. We apologize for the inconvenience, but we would appreciate it if you could wait a little longer, which I don't think players are going to mind because that's going to be coming with the next clump of content. People are going to just be stacking up more currency in the time being, and on top of that, people just got all that currency back. So I really don't think many people are that upset. So I would be honest. Now it says improving battle tempo. So since the recent update, the following items can now be changed as options. The hit stop effects for 2 levels, normal and weak. When breaking, the camera angle effect captures the enemy in large areas can now be switched on or off. And the character cut in effect that appears when a chain skill is executed can now be switched on and off. And when an enemy breaks, the input acceptance time for chain skills can now be selected from 2 levels, which is standard or short. So in particular, changing the hit stop can greatly affect the perceived game speed. So we hope you will enjoy it with your preferred setting. Additionally, even though the game switches frequently from exploration and battle parts throughout the game, there were many instances where players had to wait too long for loading times, which yes, that definitely ruins immersion. Now, the other thing is too, it says to eliminate this waiting time in the previous 2 updates, we made adjustments to transitions time and presentation. We're moving from battle to exploration for users of devices with 6 gigabytes or more of memory. We are currently making major revisions to the loading mechanism with the aim of further shortening the time. So I think that that's a good change, and it's nice to see that they're still working on that. Now, about the bulky feeling, this is something that a lot of you guys have brought to my attention, and I'm glad they're addressing it. So it says we also received a lot of feedback about the feeling of the product being bulky. We believe there is a lot of room for improvement in the game experience when it comes to action negotiations, but also such as when a character's actions cannot be canceled and they end up being hit. Therefore, we are planning to add a frame that allows actions to be canceled by evasion or counter on the character by character basis. Now, the reason why this is so important is because I think that's something that a lot of players are experiencing is really a character to character thing. If you ever played games like Elden Ring, there's certain weapons that will make the character feel more bulky than another weapon, right? Or armor that you might put on, and then you kind of adjust it to your player preference. I think that that's the thing with this game is that because a character is just a character, the character individually is going to feel away versus like say equipping gear and it's going to change how that character feels. So I don't think the bulky feeling is necessarily a bad thing for every character, or is even something that can be helped for every character, because it actually depends on the mechanism or the specific thing that the character is doing that could potentially be causing that said feeling, and what might be bulky for you might not necessarily bother the next person. So I think that that definitely is smart for them to work on it character by character. But again, that is also a user preference thing too in conjunction. Now, it says in this update, we've added frames for canceling evasion to the secondary attacks of Kirochuyo and Juyomiyu. Now, with that, on the other hand, for characters such as Q and Inoki, who are difficult to control but have high rewards, we may end up having to make adjustments that would result in the characters losing its strengths. So please understand that we may decide to keep the characters as they are in the current form as a way to give them individuality. So I know a lot of people were saying like, hey, they're AI, but like we were expressing before, and the devs are kind of mentioning this in the same way, but just kind of saying it differently, is that there's not really much they can change to make the units necessarily better because they have such a high risk, high reward mechanism that requires you to actually really be playing them, really. I will say there are some things they can tweak, but they would have to fundamentally change the character like they're mentioning, and that would require some strength loss, right? And I think that that's something that is kind of the give and take there that you might have to like choose, like, okay, what do I rather have? Would I rather have them play better on AI, or will I just have to control them and maybe, sacrifice the fact that, I have to manual them? I mean, it's just kind of one of those things that kind of happens. I've seen it happen a ton in different games, where sometimes that is just simply the case, that it's just a matter of that unit is just super complex and there's not really much else you can really do about that, because AI really, honestly, especially simplified AI, just are going to be doing the things that, like, say, for example, just evading and hitting when they get the chance to. Like, it's not really going to be thinking about other things sometimes, unless, again, they really do dumb down the character. So, I mean, I'm hoping that they don't, because I think it's cool those characters are as powerful as they are. And I know some people like the power that they have, especially people that main them. So again, that's something I think that's worth considering. Now, the next thing that they're actually getting into here is actually very important, which is strengthening melee attack characters. So they say here that we are aware that currently, due to various factors such as increased enemy tension, when hit the need to manage stamina, there's little benefit to fighting at close range. Therefore, we have made the following 2 improvements to some melee characters. Stamina consumption for parry counter will be reduced from 500 to 250. Cancellation by countering due to secondary attack will be possible. And the purpose of this change is to allow characters to be more aggressive when fighting in comparison to long-range characters by lowering the risk of aggressively aiming for a parry, right? Because before you would have to stand there, wait for the parry, and then hit it. Now you could be in mid-move. You can still go for that ability and then still parry so that you're able to block, which is really, really satisfying and really rewarding in my opinion. Now, regarding the update plan for version 1.0.10. So this is what's going to be coming in next week, that we've recapped everything that already happened and kind of got the devs' point of view from it. So it says, next, we would like to introduce the updates scheduled for next week. We're going to be getting a tension card update. I think we have all agreed and have all talked about this. Now, it says currently the play experience is poor due to tension consumption each time the effect of a tension card is activated. And as a result, formations filled with cards that activate in tension phase 0 have become mainstream, resulting in the environment where there's little room for variation in formation. Therefore, in version 1.0.10 update, we'll be making an upward revision to remove the tension consumption effect from almost all tension cards. That's huge. So for some card effects, the consumption amount will remain the same or will be reduced. But with this change, many cards will become easier to use. So that's huge. On the other hand, this change will make it possible to greatly increase any stat, so that it is expected that the difficulty of clearing the dungeon will be reduced with certain builds. In the upcoming major update for Chapter 3, we plan to make the difficulty of battles from Chapter 3 onwards a little more difficult than originally planned, and also make for further upward adjustments to cards with low adoption rates. Now, the reason why I think that this is actually a good change is because if they're going to give us all these power boosts or things to make us play better, they have to give us something that's a little bit more challenging. So I think that we can argue that Chapters 1 and 2 is tutorial and Chapter 3 is the game really starting at this point. So I think that that's actually pretty good. We know we have more challenging content. And then from there, we can't wait to see what next thing is going to be coming that, is going to be fun to do. Now, it says, in addition, in this update, we'll be adjusting the encounter system so that even if you attack a detected enemy and encounter it, a so-called normal encounter, the battle will begin with your tension at phase 2. Ooh, okay, so that's a little bit different. So I think what they're trying to do, they're actually trying to speed up fights in a way. And that's allowing you to basically get more use out of your cards because you don't have to necessarily build up tension. Now, if you do get hit where the enemy is going to take you into a phase where they have the advantage, then I'm assuming you still get hit with a negative penalty where you have no tension built, which that's kind of your fault. But if you hit them with the normal encounter or with the sneak attack, you're going to be at least starting out no matter what, it looks like, with tension phase 2, which is huge. Now, the ability to retry at a lower difficulty. So in order to allow more people to enjoy Tribe 9, lower the difficulty and try again button will be added when the game ends. Ooh, that's huge. But this is limited to battles in the storyline. Okay, cool. So by pressing this button to try again, your party members will be strengthened for that battle only. The strengthening can be repeated, so you are repeatedly getting game overs. We recommend using this function to calmly study ways to deal with enemies. Now, I will say that there are going to be things that are going to come back up later on, so you probably still want to practice it, but this at least will get you through the story. I talked to a couple of different people in streams about this. This is usually something that exists in games like this that allows players to not get stuck just because something's just way too hard for them. They can still enjoy the story, but still get some of the elements of the fight without it actually being at the proper scaling. But for those that are able to play at the proper scaling, they can get that enjoyment as well. So it's really nice to have both, I would say. And really, it's more so just a parameter for those that aren't as sweaty. So please note that this function cannot be used when selecting rematch from the pause menu during the battle. So you have to be losing, right? So they want to at least see you attempt it. And then from there, they give you this option, which I guess is cool, right? Now, they've added a detailed menu for daily challenge and delivery requests. So following many requests since the game's release, daily challenge and delivery requests can now be accessed from the menu. So we no longer have to go to the happy workers from what this sounds like. The changes are nothing more and nothing less, but we hope you will remember our branch managers from time to time, because they literally are letting us know we don't have to visit there. But hey, you know, just for nostalgic purposes, stop by, right? So return of the story fast forward button. We'll be implementing a skip or fast forward button for conversation events. We apologize for the sudden changes since the last update. Note, we're currently working on preparing a feature that will allow players to look back on their stories and XP with the numbers in the future update. So they're just allowing you guys to be able to skip it. So if you want to pay attention to the story, you can. If you don't, you can just skip it. All right. Now, support for 60 FPS setting on mobile. For mobile version, we'll be adding an option to play at 60 frames per second. This can cause a device to overheat, drain battery rapidly, and cause the game to malfunction. So please refrain from using it if it interferes with your gameplay. So they're letting you know, and this is your fault, your device's fault. It's not their fault. If the 60 frames per second starts blowing your phone up, then you might want to adjust it, right? But at least now you guys will have the option for those of you guys that do have very good devices or decent devices to be able to play it, right? So very, very huge. Now, introducing upcoming content, we now finally can get into the introduction of some upcoming events and new characters. Let's get into it. The XB ranked match. So they actually decided to push this back a little bit. We thought it was the 5th. It actually still should be happening the 5th. Technically 6th in JP, I'm thinking. But starting on March 6th, we'll be introducing ranked matches for all players who have registered their XP team. The rank system will change depending on whether you win or lose. It is introduced with the aim of matching players with similar levels of training. Therefore, rather than being a fierce competition, this function was developed to allow players to enjoy it casually during their spare time when they don't feel like battling or exploring. Because of this, there is no function to view detailed rankings, and you can earn all rewards by playing, regardless of whether you win or lose. Okay, so that's fun. So in XP, where you're playing against other players, unlike in the number matches, there are no strong adjustments based on the results of decisions. And instead, the player's training situation and baseball judgment are directly reflected. So the more care you put into your characters, the more they will perform. So we hope you enjoy using this as a place to show off your gameplay and interact with each other. Also, please note that at the beginning of ranked matches, everyone will start at the same rank, so players with different levels of training may be matched together, which also may result in a series of extreme matches. This is something that will hopefully improve over time, so we ask for your patience. So I guess that is fair. It's going to take some time, but we'll eventually get to that point where everything will normalize. It happens in every game with PvP. People that are at a really high level need to shoot up, and then that bottom tier will then normalize, right? Once they're out of that tier, then everything kind of goes normal. That might take a week or so we'll see. So yeah, that's that. Now, new character introduction, Kazuki Aoyama. Okay, listen, they're confirming it themselves. They're giving us what we want, okay? I think they're doing this because they want that currency back. Now, they go to say that Kazuki Aoyama will appear in the new Synchro and version 1.0.10. Aoyama Kazuki is a versatile character who grants shield to party members as well as have additional attacks and high break abilities. Furthermore, despite its abilities, its mechanics are extremely simple, making it simple to operate and use. Although he appears to be a versatile character, these actions require a resource called memory. So memory starts at full at the start of battle and is consumed as you perform tactical skills in secondaries. As a result, in prolonged battles, his character's strength becomes less apparent as he becomes out of breath. Ooh. So with that, this memory is recovered by a certain amount when you perform an ultimate. And if you obtain more memory than the maximum amount, you will enter an overclock state. In this state, your attacking power will increase, allowing you to play an active role as an attacker. Additionally, compared to Kazuki, who joined as a guest in Chapter 2, he has slightly been improved. Okay, so his controls have been adjusted and has been brushed up. This change will also be reflected for guests when the sync is updated. Now, on top of that, we got a new event called Lux Phantasma coming. So that actually seems kind of fun. I don't know. Now, finally, we would like to introduce the upcoming event, Lux Phantasma. In Tribe 9 story events, there are no battle parts, and the game progresses through special mini games. So in Lux Phantasma, you can enjoy so-called rhythm game content with Suguro Simba as the main character. Another unique feature is that you can consume boosters at will. This means you can earn rewards without having to go around the rift. So we hope you'll enjoy playing the game as a way to take a break from battling. So I think that that's actually pretty huge too, that we can now use boosters here and it's still going to be granting us rewards. So that's actually pretty huge, not gonna lie. Now the events have their own unique format that allows the story to progress. And by playing the events, you can accumulate point rewards similar to Fractal Vice. And in order for Lux Phantasma to occur, you must clear Chapter 2, which I guess that's fair. The event period is planned to be very long, so we would like for you to take your time and complete the story before participating, okay? Now, this basically goes to say, in conclusion, this concludes today's letter. Since the release, we have received a lot of feedback from many players. While there are aspects that we are painfully aware of our shortcomings, we also hear feedback from players or people who are enjoying the game. And all of this is fuel to make us make Tribe 9 a better game. Thank you. On the other hand, we are very sorry for that the updates have been rushed and the game has become unsettling. In particular, there were many aspects that were not properly adjusted, such as synchro, the reward design that can be obtained through gameplay and tension cards, and we deeply regret that the gaming experience did not meet your expectations. First of all, we will respond swiftly to the current issues and then prepare various updates in parallel so that you can look forward to the Chapter 3 update. We look forward to your continued support of Tribe 9. We'll see you again in Neo Tokyo. So that's basically that, guys. I mean, this is a lot to digest, but it's all good things to digest. I think the devs have done a really amazing job with rebounding, recouping, and getting this game back into, I would say, into the respective place it needs to be a pillar game. They really have done an amazing job with tackling all the issues that players have. I think a lot of these things are basically the basis of most things that I've heard most players complain about. So considering that the directors really have taken the time to do this, I think that this is massive. Yeah, I am satisfied, honestly. So let me know how you guys feel in the comment section down below. Make sure you guys join the Discord, man. There's a lot of things going on. Obviously, we got things changing within the game. So we're going to be going into those things accordingly. So that's basically going to be that with this one, guys. All of you guys stay blessed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.